Deep in central Mali, children are dying of starvation. Dulled by hunger, it is a slow and agonizing death. Mali's health ministry says so far hundreds of people have died from what it describes as a man-made famine. This is happening in the central region of Mali. What was supposed to be harvesting season for villagers has been a season of death and destruction. Here, farmers and herders are fighting over land. It is an ancestral conflict that takes place at the height of the dry season. On one side are the traditional farmers and hunters known as Dogons. On the other side, the semi-nomadic herders of the Sahel, the Fulanis. Dogons accuse Fulanis of overstepping on their farmland to feed their animals. Fulanis accuse Dogons of killing and stealing their cattle. Now, they're killing each other. The violence is not limited to Mali. In neighboring countries, Fulanis have been in conflict with other tribes as well. Fueling this conflict are armed groups stepping in and taking sides. Some have been fighting in the war in Libya. Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, an al-Qaeda affiliate, is calling on Fulanis to join their ranks in exchange for protection. So is the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, who are gaining a foothold in the region and into Burkina Faso. Despite 14,000 UN troops known as MINUSMA, among them British, Canadian, and German soldiers, and 4,000 French combat troops, and the regional force G5 Sahel, made up of armies from the region, the violence is spreading, spiraling out of control. Now, further down this road is where G5 Sahel officers are stationed. People here want to see them out of this neighborhood and also out of this country. This is a feeling that many Malians have towards the security forces, whether it be the UN peacekeeping force, the Malian security forces, or the G5 Sahel. They're not a source of protection, but a source of danger. This is because insurgent and rebel groups are targeting security forces, launching suicide attacks and car bombings. MINUSMA has become the deadliest UN peacekeeping mission. More UN troops are dying in Mali than anywhere else or at any time before. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta says the country is being torn apart with its unity at stake. Who profits from Mali's state of instability? And how can the violence be brought to an end? This week, Talk to Al Jazeera meets with Dogon and Fulani leaders to try to understand this complex conflict. In March, 160 Fulani villagers were killed in a massacre in Ugusagu. No one claimed responsibility. Bari was hiding while his village was torched and his family killed. He called the UN peacekeepers known as MINUSMA for help.
Yalla hono me watta o wi joni o ƴeeman dabar kanka wala fu no andino watta joni o ka be ronkata dabar no wad.
These villagers say the UN came, but a day too late. The UN peacekeeping force says it sent battalions and helicopters on the day of the attack. This is Mahmoud Saleh Anadif, the head of the mission. Have you failed your mission to protect the civilian population there?
Nous avons effectivement un mandat de la protection des civils. Or, si vous voyez l'accord, si vous voyez le mandat de la MINUSMA, elle est d'abord destinée pour le Nord. Le Sud est venu après. Il a été contaminé par ce qui se passe au Nord.
Documents obtained by Al Jazeera show that the UN were documenting villages being torched before the Ugusagu massacre, and yet they failed to intervene. And Dogon militia groups continue to attack Fulanis. Mahmoud Togo is the chief representative of Mali's Dogon people.
The Ugusagu attack is not done by the Dogon hunters. The investigations are still going on.
So who's behind these attacks?
Some say that it's the neighbors, even the Fulani. Some says that people came from somewhere because the persons they heard speaking, they were speaking English.
But isn't it easy to blame outsiders rather to look at the reality that there is tensions between the Fulani and the Dogon community?
That's right. I agree that there was tension. There still is tension. But the Dana Masagu made the declaration that they are far from this Owasagu attack.
But that Dogon militia group has added fuel to the fire, has attacked Fulani villages. Why?
They have attacked Fulani villages? No.
You're saying they haven't done
No.
any attacks?
No.
They're not responsible for any attacks. So who's attacking those
What I
Fulani
know,
villages?
What I know, and I said to the President of the Republic, to the Minister, to the Prime Minister, and to everyone, I say, Dogon people never go and attack a village or a person. But when another people come and attack the Dogon, they retaliate.
So there are revenge attacks led by your Dogon militias. Is that right?
Which attack?
You're saying that they retaliate when they get attacked. Dogons retaliate when they get attacked. Who did they retaliate to? So, and you're admitting that the Dogon militias are involved in violence.
Who come to attack them. And I myself used to tell the authorities here that we cannot sit and watch people come and kill us and go back without anything. We said, no, this is intolerable. When they come, the Dogon people, the hunters or the people in the village, they run after them. And if they come to seize one, they kill. That's normal, I say.
That's normal to kill,
They
to kill
defend.
another
No.
human
It's
being.
when you come to kill me and I'm not dead, for instance, if I can, I will kill you. That's normal.
We've seen videos where Dogon hunters have decapitated heads of Fulanis, holding them like hunting trophies. Do you not feel that is exacerbating the situation, rising the tension between the two communities?
The videos you see are, I say, fabricated by the Fulani themselves. What they do to Dogons is more than what the Dogons do to people. For instance, they kill a Dogon and they put mines in the body of the Dogon. When the other Dogons come to try to take the dead, and it explodes. And if there are 10, 20, and so on, they are all killed. That's what the Fulanis do.
Now, why are you taking justice in your own hands? Why are the Dogons arming themselves, you say, to defend themselves? What is it that the government isn't doing?
The government says it will do this, it will do that. But our government has not yet fully done what he should do. We had a talk with the Prime Minister, and we told him, first of all, we need security in the Dogon country. The security is not enough. Second, we need food. The Dogon people who remain in the villages, they have nothing. Their food have been stolen or burnt. Their cattle stolen. And even what they have in their houses as money or something.
So you're saying that
stolen.
the Malian security forces are not providing security?
Not enough. Not enough.
This is what is left of the Dogon village of Sobanada, where 100 of Dogon villagers were killed in another massacre, an apparent revenge attack. Although no one claimed responsibility for this, an Al-Qaeda affiliate, Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, has called on Fulanis to rise up against the militias and the state. Mahmoud Diko is a Fulani and a powerful leader of the High Islamic Council.
The Dogons accuse the Fulanis for being behind the attacks. The Fulanis accuse the Dogons behind the other attacks. Now, these two communities have lived side by side for centuries. How do you explain this mistrust?
Moi, je suis convaincu qu'il y a d'autres forces invisibles, obscures, qui sont en train de... Il y a un plan pour déstabiliser toute la sous-région. Et pour réussir cette déstabilisation, l'ethnie et la race la plus nombreuse de la sous-région, c'est bien les peuples. Donc il faut créer une situation de guerre communautaire entre les peuples et les différentes ethnies. Sinon, ce serait bizarre qu'il y ait un problème entre les Peuls et les Dogons au Mali, entre les Peuls et les autres au Burkina, entre les Peuls et les autres au Niger, entre les Peuls, c'est toujours les Peuls et les autres. Il y a quelque chose qui ne va pas. Et pourquoi maintenant? Moi, je dis de nous laisser les Sahéliens entre nous. Nous sommes des frères, nous avons vécu ensemble pendant des millénaires. Nous avons un mécanisme pour régler des choses entre nous. Si on nous laisse nous-mêmes, nous allons trouver une solution à ce problème.
In April, the government faced countrywide protests. Demonstrators carrying signs calling for President Boubacar Keïta to leave office. In response, the entire government of Mali resigned. In a serious accusation, Mahmoud Diko accused the Prime Minister of supporting the Dogon militias. We asked a leading member of the government, the Foreign Minister, to explain how the government is responding to the violence, which is not limited to Mali, but is present in neighboring countries as well.
Yourself are from the center of the country, an area that's been hit by ethnic tensions. Now, we spoke to some of the villagers, both in Sobane and Ugusagu. They say that they called for the Malian forces to come and help them, and they didn't see any Malian soldiers, not until 24 hours of the attacks. Why aren't your soldiers able to stop the violence in the center of the country?
I am not able to confirm these reports. What I'm aware of is that our Minister of Defense was sent on the spot to coordinate our forces' action in the villages and between the villages, to appease the situation, to get stability between villages. This is extremely important. This is why I am able to tell you today that a number of people have been put under arrest by our gendarmerie, our police, but also by armed forces, who were supported by helicopters in order to give assurances to villagers and to Malian people living in the center. They know that the state is not far, the state is present through its armed forces.
Now, you're saying you've arrested people. Does that mean that you know who is responsible for the violence in this Mopti area?
The forces arrested people. They are suspects and they are brought before the Procureur General, this is before justice, in order to conduct investigation, in order to know who are responsible for these criminal actions.
Now, some of the Fulanis that we've spoken to say that the government backs these Dogon militia groups that are active in attacking Fulani villages. Is your government supporting Dogon militias?
You know that you have a new government in this country from May 5th, following the signing of a political agreement which occurred on May 2nd. We have a new government with a new political agreement with a roadmap. The first point of the roadmap is to organize a national conference to give opportunity to Malians, political forces, civil societies, but all sections of the population to discuss about the burning issues the country is confronting, is facing. The second issue is the implementation of the peace agreement signed 4 years ago in Alger. I'm coming now to the third point, which interests you, is the situation of the center of the country in terms of stabilization and securization. This is extremely important for us to deal with the situation and to treat the situation of the center in terms of getting more stability. In this case, no one can imagine our government siding with one part of the population against another.
So you're not the government is not supporting any militia groups.
The government of political agreement is seeking to find a solution to what is going on in the center of the country, and it cannot side with Somalians against other Malians. I can tell you.
Now, you said that strong measures are in place in the Mopti area. What are these strong measures in place that would prevent the violence? Because just a few days ago, there was another bout of violence.
You know that the root of the problems, this crisis in the center of Mali started from the occupation of northern Mali by terrorist groups. You have one group which occupied Gao, known as Mujao, the movement for oneness and justice, etc., in West Africa. And it extended its domination to part of the center. And it recruited local peoples and get them to be with its violent sectarism and to learn to use guns. The Malian crisis is directly linked to the situation in Libya, to the collapse of Libya in 2011. What I would like to stress is the direct link between the terrorist groups which occupied Mali in 2012 and 13 and the situation in the center of the country. This is very clear.
Who profits from this situation?
People say that those who profit from the situation, there are some Malians, that most of the people or country that profit of this situation is France. France.
Why?
But
why France? Why?
I'm coming. The government and government members will not tell you the truth about this point. France wants to recolonize again this country because of the wealth on the ground.
Why do you say that? I mean, France came to the rescue in 2012 and 2013 when there was an invasion of the country. If the French forces were not here, maybe the Malian nation wouldn't exist as it is right now.
I see. I agree with you. You see, when you want to exploit, say, a person, you start by being friendly with him, and you try to understand his mind and how he's doing. Now, once you have got all these, you exteriorate what you also have come for. France stopped the jihadists in the corner. All the Malians applauded. Hollande. But now, what is going on? What is going on? We blame Hollande and France.
But it's not France's role to ensure security in Mali.
Democratic Republic of the Congo. That's not France, but it's Belgium. Since 1961, they are there. The United States soldiers are there.
But what about the efforts put forward, such as the Algiers Peace Accord, that were signed?
Yeah, I'm coming.
I mean, those are efforts to bring back peace by the international community, including France.
I'm coming. The people in RDC, the United Nations soldiers, from 1961 today, they are there. Why? Because of the wealth that is in their country. The Europeans have nothing now. They have finished. What they have to do is to come back and recolonize African states where they know there is something.
Mahmoud Dicko says the UN and what he calls the international community is failing Mali.
What bothers you with this UN mission that is helping those that are displaced in areas where the government cannot access?
Mais $1 milliard, donne ça au gouvernement du Mali, nous allons finir ce problème. $1 milliard, ils donnent ça pour leur confort à eux. Mais ça n'a pas empêché, vous sortez ici, peut-être à quelques kilomètres de Bamako, les peuples qui ont quitté leur zone, ils sont là, dans la misère, il faut aller voir comment ils vivent. Ils sont dans une situation invivable, qui n'est pas digne d'un être humain. Non. C'est pas digne d'un être humain. C'est pas vrai. Ce qu'on est en train de dire, c'est de l'hypocrisie, c'est pas vrai. Ils sont là. Tu vas aller les voir. Ils sont sur des taudis. Ils vivent dans des choses qui n'est pas dignes d'un être humain au XXIe siècle. L'aménagement et les autres là les dépassent là-bas. Ils sont là-bas. Avant de partir, vous pouvez faire le tour pour aller les voir. Alors qu'est-ce qu'on vient nous dire? On dépense $1 milliard pour le confort des gens qui sont là. C'est eux qui louent les plus belles maisons de Bamako. Ils sont dans les plus grandes, les voitures de luxe de Bamako, à Gao, ailleurs, partout. Les plus belles maisons, c'est eux qui vivent là-dedans. Et cette population est là-bas, ils pensent qu'ils sont venus protéger les populations, mais c'est pas vrai. C'est pas vrai, c'est pas vrai. Si le gouvernement du Mali ne peut pas parler, c'est le gouvernement du Mali. Mais moi, je parle au nom de ce peuple digne du Mali, qui n'est pas un peuple qui va se soumettre, parce qu'aujourd'hui, nous traversons une situation difficile. Mais ça va passer, cette situation. C'est une grande nation qui ne va pas capituler. Non.
While the $1 billion a year UN peacekeeping mission was renewed by the Security Council for another year, Mali's government is calling for the creation of a coalition force, like the ones seen in Iraq and Afghanistan, to intervene in Mali. At stake, it says, the stability of a region and the survival of Mali and its people.